Hello, everyone out there. This is Professor Ashensnow, and I will be starting the beginning of a new series I like to call Nuzlocke Fridays. So I will basically be just nuzlocking through different games that you guys want me to play. So for the first one, I wanted to let you guys decide, and you guys decided that we were going to do Scarlet and Violet. So that is what we're going to do. Um, so I got a new game set up here. I figured that for encounters, it'll be either the first thing that I see, or if that ends up being too difficult, then I can just make it so it's just Pokemon that are completely random. I can just randomize some Pokemon from this game and see what I get, and then go after that. So let's get started. So I typically, when I play Nuzlocke, I like to pick characters that kind of sort of look like me, but most of the time it's kind of hard to do that right at the beginning because you don't have a lot of, you know, customization, especially in Scarlet and Violet, which really sucks. Because, like, I was kind of hoping that Scarlet and Violet would have just as much customization as Sword and Shield did, which I'm kind of sad you guys didn't pick Sword and Shield just for that reason alone. But let's try to make it look somewhat like me from the IRLs. I wish they had more hair options too that weren't like explicitly tied to like the haircut place. It's kind of weird that they only have like these really weird options for haircuts, but that's just me. I could have sworn there was a hair that looked a lot like mine, and now for some reason I can't find it. So this is hilarious that I cannot find that hair. Oh, there it is. The long bob looks the most like my hair. I mean, it's not, you know, to a T, but it's close enough. Okay, so obviously I don't want my eyebrows to be golden, because that is not my hair color. I have that very typical brunette hair color. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure what color my eyes are, because half the time when I look at them, they're kind of like a stormy kind of blue color. Like this, they're kind of like this blue-gray color, but and then like for my eyelashes, I mean, I have pretty long eyelashes, but they're definitely not like any of these other colors. I don't even know why these eyelash colors are like an option. I mean, I understand why like the normal ones like blonde are, because some people do have those kinds of eyebrows, but I am not that person whatsoever. And I do have freckles, so I like my character to also have freckles. So this is probably the most like me this character is ever gonna look, even though every single Pokemon character always looks the exact same, except for like a little tweak here and there. Alright, let's begin this journey and see where we go. So I think for the starter, I'm actually just gonna randomize which starter I get, because I don't really want to have the choice, because I feel like it's a little unfair for me to be able to pick which starter I have. So I'm actually probably just going to like spin a randomized wheel with the starters on there. And then when we get to that point, I'll just pick it there. But for now, we have to go through the really boring introduction that is Scarlet and Violet. I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't have to watch it, but you can't skip through this stuff until you actually get into the game. So I'm kind of hoping for Fuecoco for my starter, because I actually picked Fuecoco for my ever like first run through of the game. And I honestly think Torch Song is super overpowered and amazing, so it would make the game a little bit easier, but depending on what my other encounters are, it might make it harder. Like if I don't have a good fire, water, grass core, it might be really difficult. And honestly, I'm surprised that you guys picked Scarlet, because I would have thought by now people would be sick of Scarlet, honestly. Like, I thought most people were kind of over it, just looking forward to Legends EA and the Gen 10 game that we're probably going to get. I would say probably sometime in 2027 or 2028. feel like 2027 is kind of hopeful, but you know, depending on what Game Freak and Nintendo actually want to do with that, I feel like it'll make a difference either way. And then of course we gotta go through the intro where we watch Koraidon fly around. Honestly, the inclusion of a legendary as your like POW early on, but not something that you can use, is kind of a cool concept because it's not really something we've had before, and using it as a traversal technique is like kind of cool in my opinion. I mean, now that I'm like watching this, I kind of understand why people wanted me to play Scarlet and Violet because it is really pretty and the open world is just amazing. Like compared to the past games, there's just so much more you can like look at and do in these games. So it's kind of exciting, I think, when you think about it. And it's exciting when you think about where Pokemon's going. Like if this is where we are now, where are we going to be in like even 5 years from now? I'm kind of hoping that they can make this open world kind of even more seamless and you know, just keep going on from there. Alrighty, we're finally through the intro, so we're finally going to actually play as our character, and we'll get to the starter selection as quickly as possible. Alright, let's see. Honestly, what I've never understood about most of the games when you start them is the fact that like you always have a bedroom that seems to be a loft. Like I don't know many people, especially in America, who have lofts for bedrooms, especially as a kid. So it's kind of funny. Right off the bat, I'm gonna change some settings for the game. That way it's a little bit easier for me to play, like fast text. I'm also gonna skip cutscenes because I feel like we've seen them 1,000 times before. If you guys really have a problem with me skipping cutscenes, you can let me know, but honestly, I don't like watching them when I've seen them thousands of times before. And I've seen them thousands of times before because I've actually Nuzlocked this game more times than I can count. Because I love Nuzlocking. That's one of the reasons why I am Nuzlocking this game, because it's one of my favorite things to do in Pokemon. Because obviously, as you all know, it's really easy to play most of these games, especially the newer ones, because they made the games a heck of a lot easier. Because if you think about like Platinum, for example, that game can be so difficult if you're not actually strategizing and preparing for certain battles. So this compared to that is like a cakewalk, if you will. But if you're careless in Nuzlocke, you will easily lose, no matter how easy the game is. On my personal time, I was actually trying to Nuzlocke a ROM hack called Pokemon Unbound. I don't know if you guys have heard of that or not before, but I really like it so far. And like, I actually had to multiple times play through the beginning of the game because I kept losing at the stupidest stuff, at like dumb RNG luck. So I was like super frustrated by that. But I actually have gotten a lot further than I thought I would. Probably like maybe a third or fourth into the game, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Honestly, ROM hacks are super underrated, and the fact that Nintendo is always complaining about them is understandable, but from a fan perspective, it's kind of crappy because it's not like these people are profiting off of their ROM hacks. It's just people are playing them and enjoying them, at least to my knowledge. I don't know of any ROM hacks that make money, because most of the ROM hacks that I've played, I've never spent money on, ever. One ROM hack I'd actually like to shout out, which I guess really isn't a ROM hack, it's like a recreation, but Gamma Emerald. I was watching a couple of my favorite PokeTubers playing that. I was watching PokeTips play it, and I was really, really impressed with how they created this. And I'd actually tried to play it myself, but I got a little bored because it is just a demo for now. And I have a very short attention span, so this says nothing towards the game. But I got bored because the level jumps are kind of crazy in that game, and I did not feel like grinding my levels. So I basically just wanted to just power through and test the game out. But everyone else seemed to be having a lot of fun with it, so I honestly can't wait for the full game to come out because I absolutely will play it. And maybe if you guys really want, I can also Nuzlocke it, or even just do a vanilla playthrough. Honestly, a vanilla playthrough might be the best for playing something for the first time. But we'll see. So I'm about to get to the part where we're just chilling with these starters, and I got my wheel ready to pick which one I'm going to play with. Again, I'm really hoping I get Fuecoco, but watch, I'm going to get, like, the one I don't want, which is Quaxley. No offense to Quaxley lovers, but I don't like him as much as I like Fuecoco and Sprigatito. That's just my personal preference. You can hate me all you want, but everyone's allowed to have their own opinions. So, I do think it's cool that they actually let you spend a little time with them before you pick them. Since we're so used to being, like, thrown into the game, just having to pick them and just going along. So it was kind of cute, I think, how they decided to introduce this game. And honestly, I've never had more fun Nuzlocking a game than this one. Like I said, I've Nuzlocked this game plenty of times before. They were mainly monotype Nuzlocks where I had to play through the entire game with just one type on my team. I mean, I could have, like, dual types as long as it was the main type that I was monotyping. But I literally did a Nuzlocke for every type. But, like, when I'm not Nuzlocking for public purposes, I will admit I've sometimes cheated in my Nuzlocks before, but that's just because when I'm playing personally, I'm just trying to have fun. You know, I'm not trying to make myself really upset or anything like that. So I just try to have fun with it. But for the purposes of what we're doing here, I'm definitely not going to push it. Because I want to make sure that I'm doing this Nuzlocke right. So let's go and get our starter. I'm very, very excited to start this journey. I was kind of hoping that this would, you know, keep going on to be a weekly thing. I was hoping that we'd be able to just keep doing so many Nuzlocks together because as a Nuzlocke enjoyer, I love watching them. So it's exciting to get to play a Nuzlocke for all of you guys. And honestly, I'm probably going to go through most of the Nimona Yap session without really paying attention. And I just told her that I didn't want to be friends because she's annoying. Mainly because I hit B more than I hit A when I'm going through this stuff because I always feel like it makes it go faster. But that's just my personal preference. Alright, so it looks like it's finally time to pick one. Alright, so I have a wheel on my phone, and just because I need you guys to trust me for a second, I'm just going to spin it here and go with whatever it picks. So let's see. And I was right. I got Quaxley. So I'm going to own up to that and take Quaxley. So people can know for a fact that since I'm picking the least favorite of mine, that I'm not, in fact, cheating my starter. So. And I know that you always have to nickname your starters. Not just your starters, obviously, but you have to nickname all of them. And I typically like to name them really weird names, so I think I'm going to call this Quaxley Quackers. Funny play on crackers, but who knows? Maybe Quaxley's, you know, final evolution Quackaball will end up being the MVP somehow. I mean, I highly doubt it, but I am keeping my fingers crossed that Quackers is going to be a good starter. It's kind of nice, though, that I get to deal with Fuecoco as my rival. Like, look at that little goober. Like, literally just looking up at his future trainer, knowing that that's going to be his trainer. Like, I love how, like, Fuecoco looks like he's got nothing going on behind his eyes. Like, just look at that guy. He's such a cutie. And I'm very mad that I can't have him because the random wheel picker decided to give me the one that I don't like the most. And if I lose Quackers, I'm probably gonna struggle, and if not, lose against Nimona all the time. I will say, though, that if I do lose, I will retry it a couple of times. I think I'll retry it a max of 3 times. I really don't think I'm gonna have that much trouble, though, because I've never had, like, an egregious amount of trouble through Nuzlocke in this game before. But you never know. You never know what you're going to encounter in a Nuzlocke, and that's why I love it the most, because you're not necessarily just playing through the game, and there's, like, so many more risks involved. And if you'll notice, I like to grab all the items at the beginning of the game here, and that's mainly because it's just helpful for me. Oops, I missed that. There we go. You can actually get a Pokeball there, which is kind of funny. Because it technically means that the Nuzlocke starts whenever you get Pokeballs, but I don't really know if you consider it in that regard, because I can't catch anything. So if I lost against Nimona, which would never happen, but if I did, I don't know if you'd consider it, like, game over or not. So just for you new Nuzlocking fans out there, if you don't actually know what a Nuzlocke is, a Nuzlocke is basically just self-imposed challenge on any Pokemon game, because usually the games are way too easy. For me, I'm just doing a normal Nuzlocke, and I'm not doing hardcore Nuzlocke rules, so I'm using items in battle, I'm using held items. We are doing Dupe's Claws, so if I encounter the same thing twice, I'm not catching it twice. I can reroll until I get something different. Shiny Claws. I really hope I find a shiny, but I'm not going to count on it because finding shinies in this game can be kind of difficult. So, and whenever a Pokemon faints, which is the normal rules, it gets boxed forever, or you release it. I usually just box it because I can never, you know, actually get rid of any of them, because I do, like many other Nuzlockers, get attached to my Pokemon. So, these early game battles are super easy. So I'm just doing a basic Nuzlocke for the first one, because I feel like, you know, as an introductory Nuzlocke, it's pretty good to just do a regular one of the game before you start doing all kinds of crazy things like monotypes. I will say, though, that monotypes are some of my favorite because, you know, it forces you to use a team that you're not used to using. Oh, bye, Quaxley. It's kind of nice to use Pokemon that you're not used to using, and that's kind of the whole point of a Nuzlocke too, because if you're normally playing through the game, you can just grab whatever you want. But in this game, it forces you to use stuff that you don't usually use and strategize. So it's kind of exciting in that regard. Oh, yeah. You guys are gonna yap and yap and yap. I wish I could just skip through all the yapping, but you just gotta play it the way you gotta play it. What's really exciting about this game, though, too, is it's not just doing the gym challenge. Like, yeah, the gym challenge is a big part of the game, but I don't know. I think having the side stories with Team Star and Arvin are pretty cool. Mainly because it gets you doing other stuff, and you're not just running through the region only challenging gyms. So I just found it very interesting that they were trying to expand the game a bit. But I'm glad they didn't expand it in the way that they did for which game was that? Sun and Moon, where they completely changed everything. Like, there weren't any gyms, it was just kahunas and trial captains and trials. Now, don't get me wrong, that was really cool to, like, mix it up and everything, but I don't know. I guess I'm just so used to the gym thing that I kind of just prefer it, I suppose. Alright, so we are on our way to Poco Path, which is technically our first encounter. Now, because of the way that Scarlet and Violet is, they throw a Lechonk at you right away. Spoiler alert. But if you haven't played or watched this game at this point, you're living under a rock. So I'm not counting the Lechonk as my encounter because it's honestly not fair. If you Nuzlocke this game, normally you would always get Lechonk for Poco Path, which is stupid. So honestly, what I'd prefer to do, and I mentioned it earlier, was I have wheels set up for the different encounters, specifically the areas, like for Poco Path, for the province areas and whatnot. It makes it a little bit more random, so then I can just go and find it and then catch it, and I don't really have much of a choice. Because sometimes with the spawns in this game, whatever you run into first might always be the same. And I don't really want to have the same thing every time. So I actually made some wheels like a long time ago when I was trying to Nuzlocke this normally a long time ago. So I'll just be using the wheel on my phone to pick my encounters. It should make it a little bit easier, I think. So once it actually lets us move, we're going to head to Poco Path and destroy that Lechonk and then get our actual encounter. So I'll typically roll for these encounters when I first come into the route or area or whatever you want to call them in this game and go for that. So just gazing at the wheel I have here of what we have, it looks like we could get a couple bug types. So Scatterbug, Tarantula, and then we can get Fletchling, Lechonk. We can also get, I believe we can get a couple of others. I feel like I'm missing some here. One of them being Palmy. For some reason, it's not showing up for me. There we go. It wasn't showing up for me because it was deactivated. So, yeah, Palmy is honestly what I would prefer to have. That or Fletchling for the fire type coverage, because I don't really want Hoppip. I mean, it would be great grass coverage for Hoppip, but I really don't think it would be helpful in the early game, given that the first gym is a bug gym leader. So, fingers crossed for Fletchling or Palmy, but considering my starter choice, I'm not feeling too confident about that. So let's beat up this Lechonk and get some XP. Another thing I really like about this game is the fact that you can move the camera. Like, it makes the game so much more immersive as opposed to having that static camera from the older games. And your character interacting with your Pokemon telling it what to do. Like, it feels more like the Pokemon are actually fighting as opposed to just yeeting stuff at the screen. So, Quackers easily took down that Lechonk. And Nemona gave us Pokeball, so I think this is the point where the Nuzlocke officially starts. So, if I lose any Pokemon, if I lose all of my Pokemon, then they're dead or the game is over. And if that happens very early, that is very sad for someone who has Nuzlocked so much. So now that we're done being yapped at, I'm going to spin for my first encounter here, and then we're going to go get it. So in the meantime, I'm going to grab some stuff around here, so let's see what we get. Oh yeah, I'm so happy. I got Palmy. Heck yeah. So I'm going to go get the Palmy that's at the top of the little thing over there that I'm looking at. But first I'm going to grab all these items because it's always good to have lots of items in the early game. And like I said, I've Nuzlocked this so many times, I know where the items are, and it's kind of like second nature to go get them. So I'm really happy that I got Palmy. Palmy is very, very cute, and an electric type is just priceless on a team like this. Call it what you will, but being a Pikachu clone, I'm honestly, like, not that upset about it. Like, a lot of people don't like Pikachu clones, but I think Palmy's a great one because electric fighting is such a great typing. Underutilized, too, I think, because electric doesn't always have secondary typings. And when it does, I think it's really cool. So nicely, we're going to go grab our Palmy when we get up here. Hopefully, it doesn't obliterate my Quaxly, given the fact that it's a water type. But here we go. Honestly, Palmy is so adorable. Also, it's going to be so much fun later when we're trying to evolve this thing from a Palmo into a Palmot, running around in a circle. That's gonna be so entertaining, I swear. Alright, first encounter of the game. This should make it a little bit easier to fight against those types that are, you know, a little bit irritating towards quackers here. And I'm the type of Nuzlocker that likes to keep my Pokemon close in level, so you'll notice me using my other Pokemon a lot. Let's see. What should we name the Palmy? The first thing that came to mind was Lightning after Lightning McQueen, and I kind of just thought, ka-chow. So let's just name this one Lightning. And move on. Alright, so Palmy should probably go in front since he needs some things. Let's see. The special attack Glowing Nature is not bad because it's a physical attacker, so that's great. Neutral Nature for quackers, so that's also pretty good. One of my favorite things in this game is the auto battle feature because it makes leveling up so much nicer, but you know, the only downside to it is the fact that you can't get EVs from it. You know, like usually when you battle something, you get EVs just based off of what you're battling, but if you do the auto battle, you can't do that, which I guess makes sense because then it incentivizes using the actual battling system as opposed to, you know, something else. But if I don't feel like doing a whole bunch of battles that take so much longer, I can easily just throw them out there to beat up a bunch of guys. So we're coming up on our first Arven battle here soon. I mean, first we have to go meet the walking tricycle, Koraidon. So we'll have to see. And then I know that there's an encounter in the Inlet Grotto, which is where we're going next technically, because we have to go feed Koraidon a sandwich, because Homie apparently can't function without a sandwich. I'm gonna hold off on that encounter though, because at the beginning of the game, when you're first in the Inlet Grotto, you can't actually get all the encounters, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. So to make it fair, or at least as random as possible, I think it's better to wait and come back afterwards. Hopefully I don't forget about it because it's easy to forget. Like, for example, there's some Houndour right there, but I actually can't catch any Houndour until I come back. So I kind of want the chance to catch one. And honestly, like, I've seen both Scarlet and Violet being played. So I think it's kind of funny that when you watch it through Violet lens and it's Miraidon instead of Koraidon, it is kind of hilarious because Miraidon just looks like a giant electric bicycle no matter what. Like, at least Koraidon looks like a dragon or a lizard or whatever you want to call it. But I just think it's super goofy to, like, see Miraidon in any regard. And I picked Scarlet personally because, not only because red is my favorite color, but I thought Koraidon's design was much cooler. I mean, sure, future stuff is cool and everything, but past stuff is where it's at least in terms of Pokemon, I think. Like, all the Paradox Pokemon from the past are just so much cooler. I mean, yeah, sure, it's all a matter of personal opinion, but you gotta admit, they're pretty dang cool. I also thought that it was really cool that in this game, Koraidon kind of saves you from these Houndour and Houndoom. Because it really shows that, you know, Koraidon has character, and he's about to teleport. Boop. Yeah, he's teleporting because I turned off the cutscenes. I really, really didn't I didn't want to have to watch the cutscene. So I'm sorry that if you're watching Scarlet for the first time, which I really hope you aren't, um, but I did not want to sit through that stuff. Now, if we were playing like my first playthrough through Legend ZA, that'd be different. I would watch every single cutscene whatsoever. Dang, she is really high up. What I want to know is how she knew to come in here and why she's rendered so terribly from that far away. Like, I cannot see her up there anymore. Like, she is supposed to be right up there on that ledge. You straight up can't see her because she doesn't render in, because the game literally can't handle it. I mean, that is something I really hope happens. Also, if you look here, you can actually see the Houndour disappear into the floor. Like, you couldn't have just had it keep running out of frame. Like, you really had to have it run in the ground. So this is another reason why I'm not doing the encounter right now, because there's a bunch of static encounters just sitting around over here. And if I was playing this normally, or I suppose under normal rules, that young goose would have technically been my encounter. But again, like the Lechonk, it's always an encounter, which in my opinion isn't fair or random whatsoever. And I think with at least Scarlet and Violet, these games are a little bit different than the others. So you kind of have to play them and Nuzlocke them a little bit differently. And like I said, I love to run around and grab all the items and stuff, so I'm sorry if I'm not linearly just doing everything, but that's how I like to play, so. I love how we usually think of Houndour as Pokemon that aren't that scary, but if they all ganged up on you, you should probably be scared, because they're literally little dogs. They could tear you apart. Ah, a revive. Something I am not allowed to use. I will be immediately selling that for some money. I really think they missed out with not giving us customization for the actual clothing we wear. Like, sure, you can get socks, shoes, gloves, stuff like that, but honestly, being able to customize what you're physically wearing on your body is so much more important to me. So I really hope that they bring that back for Gen 10 specifically. Because like Legends ZA will probably have customization for it, at least based off of what I've seen. But with this, I'm kind of hoping that, you know, they don't go the Scarlet Violet route. Like, I understand why they did for the purposes of being in a school and everything, but I don't agree. Like, had we had, like, clothing options that weren't just spring, summer, fall, and winter, I feel like everyone would be a lot happier. I also love how Friday thought about it there for a minute. He was like, do I really want to save this human? Like, do I really, really want to save this human? Maybe. But in the end, he decided to. Like, come on. Look at that. That guy is badass right there. Like, compared to Miraidon, like, if you were to watch these two games side by side and you said Miraidon was cooler, you're wrong. You're just wrong. I do think it's funny how he picked me up like a beanie baby. Like, I just go limp in his arms. I also love how, like, Nimona isn't batting an eye. She's just super excited at this giant lizard carrying me like a child. Alright, we're coming up on our first Arven battle. Honestly, Arven's character and his entire story with Mabostiff is honestly the cutest and sweetest storyline I think I've ever seen in a mainline Pokemon game. especially because it's about a dog feeling sick, and the quickest way to make me sad is like throwing a dog into a story and making it die or something bad happening to it, instantly crying over here. I cannot stand that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's a Pokemon game. They would never let anything happen to Mabostiff, thankfully, so. Honestly, I will say the late game battles with Nimona and Arven do get kinda hard. Especially if you don't have a team that's like equipped to deal with what they have. Whee. There he is in all his glory, staring at the door. I do also think it's funny that Arven's hair is like 2 different colors, mainly because depending on the version you're in, you either have Professor Sada, which is this game, who is a woman, and then in Violet, it's Turo, which is a guy. And they both have different colored hair. I think Sada has the lighter colored hair, and Turo has the darker colored hair. And they were like, yeah, just give Arven like a mix, because technically he's supposed to have a mom and dad, but depending on your version, he only has a mom or a dad. Which is kind of weird, because if that's canon that Arven only has one parent in each game, then who the heck's the other parent? Like, is it still like Turo and Sada, depending on the version, or is it just single mom, single dad situation? Like, they never tell you, so. I guess it wouldn't make sense if both of the games existed concurrently, because having someone exploring the future and the past at the same time, I feel like feels a little wonky. Alright, swap it. Against Lightning. Now, Lightning doesn't have any fighting type moves, or this would be the easiest battle in history. I also don't think Lightning has any electric type moves yet. Oh no, it does. It has Thundershock. Let's see how much it does. Not as much as I thought it would. So based off of that, he's definitely going to need his attack lowered. I feel like Skwovet probably has a pretty high attack stat. Oh, another rule that I don't typically do is I don't typically play on set battle mode, because I don't really care for that. I feel like since the game gives us the advantage of switching depending on like which Pokemon you're playing with, I think it's fair to switch. Plus, like I said, this isn't a hardcore Nuzlocke, this is just a regular one. So I am playing it with regular vanilla rules. I'm not playing it with any hard rules. Especially because like the first Nuzlocke should never be this super difficult, super hard thing. It should be fun, enjoyable, and more challenging, but not so challenging that you can't win the game. Those kinds of Nuzlocks, I think, will come later. But for now, we're gonna do a chill Nuzlocke and see where we go. So far, I'm liking the team, even though Quackers is not my favorite. So the next encounter is the South Province Area 1, which actually has quite a bit of encounters for me to pick from. So I'm kind of hoping that I get something good. And I know that there are actually some encounters here that I can't pick, so I just have to be careful when spinning this wheel. Because I think some encounters you just can't reach because of how weird South Province Area 1 is. So once we're done talking about him running off, we'll grab our first encounter. Okay, she wants me to go up to the lighthouse, but I'm gonna go around the back and grab the Pokeball that's back here. Because there is one. Like I said, I've Nuzlocked this so many times, so I know where all the items I want to grab are. Now, I won't do this with every single route, otherwise this Nuzlocke would take forever. I just usually do it in the early game because it's a little bit easier to just grab stuff as opposed to, like, buying it at different towns and whatnot, so it gets easier the later into the game you are. Also, I think it was very interesting that for a rival, they chose Nimona to be older and to be a champion already. Like, that's something that we've never really encountered before where the rival has actually done what we've already wanted to do. And Arvin is obviously also older, but it's not said whether he's a champion or not, but I'm going to assume that he's not a champion because he's never called one. He doesn't talk about it. He just talks about sandwiches and his dog, which are both valid things to talk about, by the way. Food and dogs are great things. But still, some of the stuff for his character is a bit of a mystery, I think. And I think it's okay that it is that way. Alright, so we are heading into South Province, Area 1. And we are now here, so I will spin my gigantic wheel and we'll see what we get. And hopefully it's something I can actually catch. Okay, I got Makuhita, but I don't know if I can actually catch that here. I think that might be more towards Province Area 4. Because if I'm not mistaken, if I go over here, I don't think I can find them. So honestly, I'm just going to respin for something that might actually be around here. Walkability. Again, I don't think I can get that here, actually. I don't know why it's in here. So let's try that again. Slowpoke. I think I can get Slowpoke on the beach. Although that sucks, because I don't need another water type. Okay, if I can't find Slowpoke on the beach, I will re-roll. This is... I don't know why. I think I went to Cerebi.net and made this list together because I was trying to make a list to pick randomly from. Because honestly, nothing like that exists currently. But if there aren't any Slowpoke on the beach, again, I'm going to re-roll. So let's see. I'm seeing just about every other water type, but if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think Slowpoke are down here. I think it's just, yeah, Wiglet and Psyduck. No Slowpoke. And a Wingull. Okay. Rerolling that. Cuties. And let's see. What are we gonna get? Something that I can actually catch that I know is around here, preferably. Rockruff. Again, I don't think Rockruff is around here. Like, I'm so confused as to why it keeps giving me ones that I think are from, like, the 4th area. Ah, here we go. Deerling. I know we can catch Deerling. That is a great encounter, too, because it's a grass type. And we already have a water type, so I'm kind of glad that it didn't pick an actual water type. And I actually know where the Deerling is. They like to sit up on this little hill over here. Or at least they did. Am I going crazy? Aren't they supposed to be like right here-ish? Aw, Fido would have been great as an encounter. Okay, well, I said I knew where the Deerling was, and now it's not here. Huh? Okay. Did it, like, wander off, or did it not spawn in right? I feel like I'm going crazy. Like, I hope this game hasn't changed since I last played it. Wooper would have been great, too. Alolan, or Alolan. Yeah, we're totally playing Sun and Moon right now. of the name. Paldea. Paldean Whooper. There we go. Jeez. Can you tell I haven't played this game in a while? I'm sorry, but why are there no deerling? Why do I just have an army of Lechonk running at me right now? I don't understand why I can't find them. Maybe if I go back up the hill and then come back down. Yeah, this is such riveting gameplay, just watching me try to find a freaking deer. Let's see. Go back up the hill and then go back down it and hopefully it respawns. I wonder if it's because I went down to the beach and didn't just head straight there. I feel like the spawn points in this game are very weird. Let's see. Supposed to be right here. Nope, that's a Hapini. I feel like I'm going crazy right now. Maybe further up the hill? Go away, demon. Fletchling. That would have been nice too, a fire type. But I don't want to have to re-roll an encounter I know is here. Waltz. Fido. I'm so lost. Like, usually there's like a deerling here, and there's like a deerling over here. Like, I am beyond confused. Let's see. Maybe there's some up here somewhere. More fletchlings. Never in a video game, especially this one, has it been so hard to find a deer. I can find every bug and pig within a 100-mile radius and a bunch of hapinis, apparently, but a deer, forget about it. But if I can't find it, I'm gonna have to re-roll because I don't know if the game updated or if the spawn points updated, but if I can't find it, it technically isn't an encounter. Even though I know it's here. I know that it spawns here. Okay, I'm gonna go to the plaza real quick. Even though I know I'm technically progressing the story without my encounter, I'm gonna double back, I think, and grab it. Since the game wants to be stupid, I guess. I don't know, I've never had this problem before. Like, that deerling always appears in that exact spot, and it's usually two of them. And it's usually the two that are, I think, in the spring form, which is like pink, I think, is what the spring form is. And honestly, having a deerling would be a great addition to the team. Like I said, to start that fire, water, grass core, I'd have water and grass already, and I just need fire, which, you know, isn't too hard to get, like, fire type encounters in this game. Alright, yeah, I get it. Okay. I want to go back and see if I can get my encounter, because I'm going to need all the encounters I can get. Okay, I am quite literally going crazy. Alright, I hate to do this. I really do, but I don't see it anywhere, so I'm re-rolling the encounter, because clearly the spawns must have changed. It must have been something like that. Alright, I re-rolled and it gave me Tarantula. So I'm going to go find a Tarantula, which I know I will be able to find. Like, yeah, bug type, whatever, not a grass type, but the game, I don't know if the game's glitching or if something changed since I last played it, but I don't think deerlings spawn here anymore, which is really stupid. But I know that those stupid spiders do, so. You know, I just saw one not that long ago. Oh, there it is. Sup, you little round fuck. I really wish I could have had a deerling, but I guess I have to settle for you. Oh, heck, that did a lot more damage than I thought it would. I honestly don't see this guy lasting very long on my team. I mean, typically, I don't really care much for, like, bug encounters. They're usually just not that good, either. I guess that's because most of the time they're kind of weak. I mean, yeah, there are some great bug types. Like, I think low kicks is actually a really great bug type encounter to have. Because not only is it bug type, but it gains that dark type, which I think makes it a better Pokemon overall. Alright. Caught this guy. Finally. I'm, again, kind of annoyed that I couldn't have what I knew was there. I guess the game just decided to make a fool out of me. Make me seem like I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna name this guy Spindle, since he's got string going on there. And I don't know if I'm gonna focus too much on training this little guy, because like I said, I don't see him lasting very long on the team. So now that that's done, we're gonna focus on training a little bit for that Nemona battle. I do think for the purposes of, you know, not making this stream super fucking long, I think we'll just get through to Mesagoza and then we'll stop there. Because sometimes these streams can go very long, and I've noticed that when streams go very long, they can become kind of boring. I mean, I'm trying to keep you guys entertained, but I swear, if I see a deerling over here at all, I am going to go postal. I might actually chuck the tarantula I caught at it and be like, take your sacrifice. I don't think I've ever seen a deerling over in this area. But then again, I used to think that there were deerling exclusively in that area over there. But, you know, apparently it's been way too long since I've played Scarlet and Violet. Because when I did all my Nuzlocks, I did them, like, crazily, like, in a row for, like, months on end. It was, like, my special interest for, I feel like, ever. Alright, so to train up, I'm going to fight some of these trainers. Which I do think it's cool that you have to interact with the trainers now to fight them. Like, it's not forced on you to fight them. But I do think that that also makes the game, again, way too easy. Because then you're choosing which battles you are picking. Which can be a good and can be a bad thing. But, like I said, I'm liking so far what I got for my team, and no one said I have to pay special attention to Spindle or Tarantula whatsoever. So let's see here. Beat his ass because all he had was a Choodle against my electric nightmare. Ahaha, very funny. A Tarantula in the tree. I think it should be good if I have these guys at a decent level, because I'm pretty sure that Nemona's battle, which is the next battle I have to do before we go to Mesagosa, and before I end the stream, I think the last thing I'm going to do on the stream is probably just update the fashion a little bit. That way my character doesn't look that much like Square. So we'll do a little bit more training by battling these guys, because I feel like, honestly, it's the fastest way to get XP and to get some EVs. I'm pretty sure you do get EVs against trainer Pokemon, but I'm not entirely sure. Look at my little guy. What a cutie. And if you'll notice, I'm actually picking battles that I know Lightning is good against. Like that Choodle, and this guy has a Rookity pretty good since I have, Lightning. And Lightning, and I think Spindle will be helpful against the Palmy that Nemona has, because she unfairly uses Terastallization when you can't use Terastallization, which is kind of rude in my opinion. Like, you should not be able to use a mechanic against someone who can't use the mechanic, because that's just straight up not fair. But I feel like Nemona doesn't care that much about fair. So, I mean, let's see. Does Spindle have good special defense? So it might be worth sending Spindle in on the Palmy switch, because then I can use Struggle Bug and make its Thundershock do nothing. Even if I sacrifice Spindle, I think it'll be helpful. But I won't be sending in Quackers at all, because he'll just get obliterated by that Terra move, because it's gonna do way too much damage, I think. So I do have some strats for most of these battles because I've done them before. So I think maybe I'll battle 1 or maybe 2 more trainers to get the levels I'm looking for here. This chick has a Slack Off, I believe. And I feel really bad for Slack Off as a Pokemon, because it can only move 1 every couple turns, which kind of sucks. I thought that would do more damage being stab and all. Wow. That did absolutely nothing. I'm kind of excited to see where... Ooh, nice paralysis. I'm kind of excited to see where the next generation of Pokemon takes us. I've been seeing a lot of, like, fan guessing and stuff. A lot of it's really cool, but we kind of just know that it's probably not going to happen, because I feel like Game Freak always takes Pokemon in the direction you least expect it. Because I feel like before Scarlet and Violet came out, nobody guessed that Scarlet and Violet was going to be what it is. You know, based in a place that is, like, off of Spain, and, you know, the terrestrialization thing, which terrestrialization is by far my favorite mechanic. Might be a hot take to say that, but it absolutely is. Mainly because I've always loved typing in this game. Like, in general, like, I've always loved Pokemon types, and the fact that you can change them in this game, and you can basically turn an entire battle on its head in this game, was just such an incredible thing to me. Like, yeah, Mega Evolution is cool and everything because it changes how the Pokemon looks, and Gigantamax was cool because, like, oh, big Pokemon, you know, Godzilla, whatever. But this was the first mechanic that was truly interesting to me. And I think it's mainly because it plays with the type mechanics. It changes a fundamental part of the game that makes you think and strategize. So I think that I'm ready now for my battle. So I'm going to start with Quackers, because he starts with Boykoko. Well, she, yes, Nemona. And then I'll switch into Spindle on the Palmy to get that special attack drop. and then try to use that as much as I can, and then I'll switch out into my Palmy to negate the electric type move even more. So I have a strategy to nerf Nimona from being quite literally a cheater. Like I said, I cheated in my Nuzlocks, my personal ones earlier, but she actually cheats at battles. Like that is not fair what she does. But we'll see how this first quote-unquote major battle goes, because a lot of people lose their Nuzlocke here. Like, I have watched plenty of other Nuzlockers, PokeTubers, take on Scarlet and Violet with different Nuzlocke rules, and some of them have lost here because of Nimona's bullshit. Like, the fact that she just does whatever she wants. I mean, it makes sense because it's part of her character. If you hear that barking in the background, it's my dog. Lily! She is noisy and does that all the time. And she does it at the worst of times. Lily, enough! She always does it when I'm trying to do something important, too. All the time. But I love her. It's actually her birthday today, believe it or not. She turned 2 years old today. And it has been almost 2 years of turbulence, because I haven't had her since she was a puppy. I actually rescued her from a local rescue around here when she was about 4 months old. And when I first got her, she was the most scared thing. She was so terrified of me and my fiance, because I'm engaged. And she was terrified of both of us, which is very hilarious because we're very kind people, and she wanted nothing to do with us and wanted everything to do with her foster mom. But then when we took her home, you know, we trained her and everything, but the first night we took her home, she warmed up to us instantly. She quite literally slept on my lap within the first couple hours of her being in our house, which is really cute. So she's crazy, is loud, and obnoxious sometimes, but I love her very, very much. As if on cue, she barks loudly. Oh no. That hit Spindle really hard. But Spindle was able to get off the struggle bug that I wanted him to get off. So, Spindle is dead to another hit. So the question is, do I want to sacrifice Spindle? Or do I want to send in Lightning on a hit? And honestly, the question is probably, I could have use for Spindle, so I think I'm going to switch into Lightning. Because now that the special attack's dropped and it's resisted, Lightning should tank this hit very well. And this Palmy only has Thunder Shock, so that's all it can hit me with. Okay, that did a decent chunk still, which I kind of hate. But I wouldn't have been able to lower its special attack anymore, so I'm just going to keep quick attacking it and hope to God I can take it out. And honestly, it's kind of looking kind of bad at this point, but like I said, I use items in battle, so I'm going to use my items. So, potions are my best friend. I have used potions very strategically in a lot of my vanilla Nuzlocks because it saved my life more than I can count. So honestly, this battle is super doable as long as I just keep Lightning's HP up. But I kind of wish I could have used Tarantula's struggle bug a little bit more, but it is what it is. And I gotta be careful about RNG luck, because if that was a crit, I would have lost Lightning, immediately. So, sometimes I do let my Pokemon get very low before I heal them, but that's because I don't want to waste a potion at a really stupid time. So like that was a crit. And it's a good thing I healed there, because had I not healed there, or had I healed at a different time, again, lightning would be dead. So I feel like right now RNG luck is a little bit on my side, which is kind of great. So. Okay, maybe one more potion, or maybe two should do the trick. Now, I know that using items in battle to some people is like cheating, but that's because a lot of people nowadays are doing a bunch of hardcore Nuzlocke. I do not think that we are to the point of hardcore Nuzlocke quite yet, especially because we're just starting out here, so. But I guarantee you, even though I use items just like that, I could have lost lightning right there. Easily, because of these really stupid crits that this stupid motherfucker keeps getting. Like, I do think it is a bit ridiculous that she's gotten 2 or 3 crits now against my guy. It makes no sense to me how she can have that many crits, but I can't. Like, this kind of luck happens to me all the time, where they just get unlimited crits. But because I have potions and I had a little bit of a strategy, I was able to persevere. Yeah, charge is definitely good. I don't need scratch and quick attack, so scratch can go bye-bye. And having flying type coverage is not a bad idea. Let's see. Probably get rid of Growl, because having a different kind of physical attacking move is a good idea. Lily, enough! Get down! I feel like she is always going to be cameoing with these loud barks. And then me having to yell at her because she will not listen to anything else. And honestly, I'm not yelling at her to be loud or mean. I'm yelling just to get her attention, because it's the only thing that gets her attention. Alright, finally, we're making our way into Mesa Goza. Also, I've heard people pronounce it as Misa Goza. I'm sorry, but unless you, like, are living under a rock, Spanish people do not pronounce that as Misa. That is, like, the most anglicized way of saying that I've ever heard. It's Mesa. Like, Mesa being, you know, a Spanish word. I mean, this coming from someone who took Spanish for, like, 6 years. I mean, I don't speak it fluently or anything, but I really understand the language just about as well as, like, an intermediate speaker would. So, it was actually kind of exciting to see a game that had, you know, Spanish influence to it. Man, this place is bigger than I remember. Alright, so I feel like the stuff I'm gonna get is probably very surface level. Maybe like a new backpack, new hat maybe. Because honestly, what we have is kind of terrible. Alright, Nimona, go away. Thank you. Alright, let's go grab some gear. And customize this character as much as we can. Even though we can't do it very much. So, my favorite color is red, so I'm gonna go grab a red backpack. Maybe a red hat. I really like the beanies that they have in this game, but it still does look a little weird because when you put the beanie on, there's like a giant hole that you can see where it's like there's a space between your head and the beanie, and it's just kind of weird. Alright, we got our red backpack, which is looking snazzy. We'll go get a different hat, maybe some different shoes, because honestly, the stuff they give you is so boring and ugly, it's hard to look at. Okay, what hats do they have here? If they have a beanie here, I'm absolutely going to take it. Kind of cool that they have sporty caps for each type. Ooh, they do have a beanie. They have a white one. Honestly, that's okay for now. So let's go with this beanie. Beanies are awesome in my opinion. They're like the coolest hats. And they look the coolest on. Let's get some socks. Let's see what kind of cool socks they have. I still hate how long it takes for the stuff to load in. Those look kind of cool. They actually match my backpack too, the same logo. What others do they got? They got sporty high socks. Ooh, I don't like plaid or floral. Let's see about the sporty ones. What do they look like? Ooh, it's not even the right color. Okay. Regular red high socks it is. And then last thing I think we'll get before we end is some shoes. I don't think they have any gloves that I like in this place, so let's see. Ooh, I do not like those sneakers. They are ugly. What about the low tops? What do they look like? Oh yeah, I like those. Is that too much red? Honestly, it probably is. I wonder if the black ones look better. Oh yeah. Let's go with the black ones. Yeah, red and black are my favorite colors. They look pretty badass, so I like them. Alright, for now, I think that's good for our character. So, to give a first taste of the gimmick in this game, we're going to go up and do the terrestrialization battle. And then after that, before we hit up the school, that's when we'll do our stop. And we'll be able to continue this Nuzlocke next week. So let's get through this obligatory battle with Team Star, which definitely think that the teams have gone downhill since probably Sun and Moon, I feel like, is when it started going downhill. Mainly because, like, the evil team wasn't really evil. Like, this is not an evil team, even though that's what they're supposed to be. Like, they are supposed to be the quote-unquote evil team because they are called Team Star. But, like, there's no, like, real villain in this game, which is kind of weird to me. Like, I'm not used to that kind of thing. But, again, it does make for an interesting story, so... And this battle doesn't do with terrestrialization, but it's the second battle that does. So you have to get through this one first to get to the terrestrialization battle. Mainly because this battle is just defending Penny because Penny was being bullied. But funnily enough, Penny is in charge of these guys. They just don't know it. Honestly, Strudel is such a cute Pokemon, but what it evolves into is like an ugly duckling. Oh look, there's a crit for me, finally. I guarantee you that's not gonna last whatsoever. Alright, now after the other YAP session, then we're going to be able to to terrestrialize, because Nimona finally gives us the way to do it, because she failed to last time. It would have been a lot nicer if she had done so. Alright, let's do it. Again, I love terrestrialization. It is such a cool gimmick. It's honestly my favorite gimmick. Not because it's the newest game, but just because, like I said, I love what it does. Alright, let's do it. Last battle of the night. This guy honestly doesn't know what's gonna hit him, but it's honestly like the same thing as like my last battle. Like, I feel like I'm being a little unfair because like he doesn't terrestrialize. Like, she wants me to battle this guy literally just to terrestrialize and pummel him into the dirt. Quite literally. Which is kind of hilarious. It's kind of like a freebie match, where if you lost, it would be kind of crazy. I also do know that in some Nuzlocke, people don't use the gimmick to make the game harder, but honestly, sometimes this game is harder even if you use the gimmick, because I'm not going to allow myself to change any Terra types, so whatever I get is what I get. That's going to be my challenge with the Terra types. I'm not going to be able to change them no matter what I do. So, like, if I get a Terra type that's not that great against someone else's Terra type, then I'm going to have to figure something out. Which is where the challenge comes in. Alright, so that battle's done. So once we're free and done with the yap sesh here, we're gonna go ahead and end this first stream. Hopefully you guys liked it, or continue to like it, because even though I stream this, it's gonna be up on our YouTube channel, Cherry Grove Academy. We are also on a bunch of different socials. We are on Blue Sky, mainly because X sucks. Twitter, at least that's what I still call it. And we also have a TikTok, which we are planning to post on a little bit more. So yeah, hopefully we will see you guys again next week at part 2 of this Nuzlocke series. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next time.